stop me now. Yeah, 'cause I'm just beginning, can't stop me now.
Hello, I'm Grover Silcox. Welcome to Boundless, where we give voice to Good Shepherd Rehabilitation's patients and their families. You'll hear the compelling, real-life stories of folks who have braved the trials, triumphs, and tribulations of rehabilitation and the boundless possibilities that lie on the other side of that journey. Please welcome my guests today, husband and wife Mike and Sue Recine, both retired teachers. And Mike suffered 2 strokes back in 2019 at the age of 66. And I think it really came out of nowhere, didn't it? Yeah. Sue, I'll let you start. Go ahead.
Well, we were on vacation up in Vermont. We have a place up there at a campground. We've been going up there since 1978. And on the way up, he was complaining of not feeling well, tired, and asked me to drive. So we got there. The next day, he had a fever. He wasn't feeling well, so I took him to urgent care up there. And he came out and said he had pneumonia. So got antibiotics, came back home, but he just was not, the antibiotics were not working. They were still, like the next day or 2 days later, he said, I'm just not feeling right. So we called back to the urgent care, and they said, take him to the hospital. So I did do that, and he had blood work. They didn't really know, he had pneumonia, but they didn't really realize what else was wrong. The blood work came back with a lot of low platelets, low, everything low in his blood. So, like low white count, low red count.
This is serious stuff that's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're not even in your neighborhood. You're in your vacation home in Vermont.
Yeah.
And you're residents of the Lehigh Valley.
Yeah. We were 5 hours from home, 4.5, 5 hours from home.
Which makes it even more complicated and difficult.
We have a lot of friends there. We've been going up for so long, and Mike's best friend lives up there now. So I took him to the hospital. Like I said, they went through all the blood work and everything, and they admitted him, and he was in for 5 days. And then he just said, the only way we'll let you go home is if you make sure you get home and you get to the doctor and see a hematologist, because they thought maybe it was cancer, which that was also an issue. So he had an appointment. We got home Wednesday night. And I had told you before, I drove that big truck of his that I never drove before, 4.5, 5 hours down the road. And anyway, he had an appointment for 9 o'clock Friday. And I'm trying to think. So his breathing was really heavy, and it kept me up. So he decided to sleep downstairs in his man cave and sleep in the sectional so he could sit up. And I slept upstairs so I could sleep but not hear the and he came up to use the bathroom in the morning and went right back down. And I thought, that's not like him. He usually gets up and then he's up, usually early, 6:30. This was 7:20. And so I thought, I better go down and see if he's okay. And I think I told you I had a dream for a good 2 years that this is how I was going to find Mike. I would have a dream. It was so weird going down those stairs, and I had this really weird feeling. So when I called his name, he didn't answer me. And so I said, Mike, and he looked at me, and I knew he had like a glaze. And I said, are you okay? And he didn't answer. So then I said, Mike, are you okay? And he went, wait. So I knew immediately he was having a stroke. So I eventually got him to Muhlenberg Hospital. And he walked in. It was his speech, not his mobility at all. And when I told him he was having a stroke, they just took him right back. There was no waiting in the waiting room or anything like that. And eventually he was taken by ambulance to Lehigh Valley Hospital.
So, Sue, now Mike is at LVHN, inpatient.
Yes.
And by the way, you're doing a lot of the speaking because as a result of the stroke, Mike suffers from aphasia, which is a speaking issue.
Right.
He can speak, but it's much easier for you. And we will hear from Mike as we go along.
Okay, good.
So tell me a little bit about, let's backtrack a little bit, life before the stroke what was Mike's life like, your life together? I know he was he still is Mr. Positive, right?
Exactly. Very positive, very motivated, very determined ever since this. Never has ever complained or felt sorry for himself. He just amazes me, and everybody, has seen that. I've posted our story on Facebook, and I have to tell you, people have thanked me, because it's out there. And I always try to put good, positive things. And then I would read it to Mike when the speech wasn't always connecting, and it would make him feel better. And it was just really, it was a good thing. Like I said, people have thanked me so many times. But I'm trying to think, when we were at the hospital, they were worried about the pneumonia. They couldn't figure out why he had the stroke, what was causing it. All his blood counts were low. They were just trying to figure out what caused this stroke. Why did it happen? So it took a while. I don't even remember. I kept getting worried, always not getting therapy. It's over a week. You got to get into therapy, So I'm thinking they finally let him go. They were thinking actually that he had antiphospholipid antibody syndrome. It's a mouthful.
Yes.
And it is a clotting disorder. Plus, he also has hairy cell leukemia. Plus, he had double pneumonia. Plus, he had a stroke. So it was like the doctor said it was a perfect storm. But they weren't sure that's what it was. But they said, all right, let's send him to rehab. And so they sent him, and that was after 10 days. They sent him to rehab. But something wasn't right. Something wasn't quite right. And I had the doctor check, and she thought he was okay. But when I came back the next day, he was lethargic. He couldn't keep his head up, and here he had been stroking for a few days, not unbeknownst to me.
Wow.
And I knew something was wrong. So then he went back into ICU for a while, and they decided, yes, he has these things going on in his body. His blood count was off, the hairy cell leukemia. They had to put him on medication. He was on immunotherapy for that.
Let's talk about the limitations that he had as a result of the strokes.
Oh, okay.
Because you're really kind of telling us about it.
Yeah.
But let's, for the audience, tell them exactly what Mike's problems were after the stroke.
Okay. Initially, it was just speech. He walked into the ER perfectly fine walking. The night, he suffered more damage, and the right side was affected. So he lost the use of his right leg, and his right arm. So it got worse.
Right. And did his speech deteriorate as well?
Yes, it got worse.
In the beginning.
From the first stroke to the second stroke, it got a lot worse.
Right.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Mike before the stroke, because he is quite a fly fisherman.
Yes.
Obviously, you're a phys ed teacher, so very physical.
Yeah.
You were the swim coach at Lafayette.
Yeah.
And so this is quite a life change.
Oh, yeah.
For both of you, really.
Yeah.
How did you feel, Mike, at the beginning of this process?
If you need me to help, I'll help you out. Frustrated?
Frustrated and
Here. I'm just helping him a little bit here.
Of course.
I couldn't walk or talk or say something on my right side.
He couldn't use his right side.
Got it. So you go to Good Shepherd.
Oh, my gosh.
What happens?
Well, let me go back a little bit because there were so many issues with his health. So we thought this would be really good. And so what happened was Mike was a swim coach. And one of his swimmers, who my son found out that works for Good Shepherd, her name's Kendall. And Kendall is an OT at Good Shepherd in Bethlehem, inpatient. So I thought, I wasn't friends with her on Facebook, but you can message them. So I messaged her, and immediately that night, within an hour, she messaged me back. And she said, I will reach out to the director. His name is Frank Highland. So I'm like, oh, that would be great. So anyway, she sent an email to Frank. The next day I got a message, and it said, when your husband comes in for an appointment for an evaluation, he will be there as well. Now, I never met this man. I didn't know anything about him. So we went, I thank Kendall. It just, everything always fell into place.
Fell into place.
Always.
Right.
It always, when I felt like I was going to fall apart, things just always worked out.
And did you get that optimism? Was that enhanced once you got to Good Shepherd?
I think
You always spoke about how Mike is a very positive person, even after the strokes and with all the limitations and the challenges.
Yeah.
Very positive, and he's inspired you.
Oh my gosh!
While you've
yeah.
been his right arm.
I was not good. I can be honest with you. It was extremely difficult. It was really hard, and I would come home to an empty house every night for 3 months.
Right, that's
and
difficult.
I didn't eat well, and I was stressed. But the longer things went on, my kids helped me so much. Friends helped me. Church helped me. I had mentioned to you, a good friend made us meals for a year, two meals a week. And when my son would come to visit, he goes, Marianne, did she bring in any meals? Because she's a really good cook. So people came out of the woodwork to help.
Right. Did Good Shepherd start with an evaluation and then a plan?
Yes. So we went, I think it was in the beginning of November. He came home October 26th, and the evaluation was the following week. We went over to one of the buildings over there where the doctor was, and Frank was there. And after it was all done, I said, well, is he getting in? Will he get into this program? He goes, he qualifies, yes. And he was sitting, and Mike was sitting in the wheelchair because he was wheelchair bound then. Frank was sitting he brought the chair over, and he bent over. I'll never forget it. He bent over, put his hand on Mike's knee, looked him in the eyes, and he goes, I guarantee you will be much better than you are right now. Well, we had tears coming down. It was, and I still have his cell number. He would come and check on us, and then he said to me, would you be willing to come 5 days a week? I'll get you a good program. I'll get you here every day. Can you bring him here? And I'm thinking, how am I going to get him in the car? And, he couldn't get in by himself. And I did it. And then it was a lot because I was gone so much during the day. And what do I do with Mike if I have to get food or this or that? So we had a friend, his name is Bob. And Bob did this thing. I forget the name of the site, but you can organize people to come and help, So they came and they took Mike to therapy. I would take him the first time, show him the ropes, and that would give me like 3 hours, 2 or 3 times a week, because I wanted to go at least twice a week, so that I could do food shopping and whatever I needed, or do nothing and just lie there.
Right, and just sort of get
just
centered.
veg and not think about anything because I'd be tired. But
and so you were mentioning even before our interview how the folks at Good Shepherd, and you were just really saying it, helped bring you the hope you needed at the time you needed it most.
Exactly. Yep. There's so many good people there, so many people that care, and their mission is to help you. And as long as we can, we will be a Good Shepherd. He goes still twice a week. He has, like today he was there, he had PTOT, and then Wednesdays he goes and he has PTOT, and then he goes in the pool. He was a swimmer too, so he likes to get in the water. But it just keeps him going. It keeps him where he's at. He's not going to lose anything. He's gonna, he might gain some more. The one day she had him walking with what was the weight on that she wrapped around your leg? Like, was it a 20-pound weight?
No.
10?
Yeah.
10 pounds? And he had, I don't know how long he walked to get strength in there. And now he's actually taking his brace off at night, wearing slippers that have like rubberized soles to try and get it even stronger and not rely on the brace as much. So it's always something new they come up with.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when you think about it that Mike was always, he was the coach. He was the one motivating students and, pushing them on to get to the extra mile.
Yeah.
And now he's the one being coached. And the folks at Good Shepherd are the ones doing it, helping him stay motivated and get to where he needs to go.
Yeah. Everybody at Good Shepherd loves him. I mean, he's good. But you were talking about before what our life was like. We were very active, and we still are now. But we would travel. We have a timeshare at Disney. We would go there. We would go up to Vermont. Well, it's at a campground. We'd go there. We went on cruises. We went on a Viking cruise, and that was amazing. But went to Hawaii. We did a lot of traveling. We were busy and active with our family. Avid fly fishermen all through the Lehigh Valley. They have excellent streams around here too. Active in Trout Unlimited. He's the vice president of the chapter. Just very, very busy and active man.
Wow. And it must have felt devastating to think after the strokes for both of you that, wow, now, all of these things are not going to be available to us because of the physical limitations.
Yeah.
But how has you moved back toward being able to do all those things?
Yeah, well, my daughter, our son found out about the Second Chance program, so he was helping me with that, and he came and helped me with bills and all that. I was like, help me with this. So, but my daughter searched on the website for fly fishing, or not fly, tying flies with one hand.
Wow.
So we found the company, and it was all veterans that did it. It's out in Washington State. I don't know if it's still in business, but in Washington State, they sent us all the material that he would need to tie flies. Now, his one friend, who was an engineer, Tom, he tweaked it a little bit. And when I talked to the people out in Washington, his name was Jesse. He was 90-some years old. And he said, if he has any other ideas on how to tweak it or whatever, let us know. So when he could tie again, that was huge.
That is huge. That would be huge for me.
Yeah,
Because I couldn't do it.
And he's got little ones. What size are those? Some of those flies, like
28.
28, whatever that means. I don't know. They're very, very, very
Mike's
tiny.
showing us with his fingers there. Yeah.
Very tiny, and it takes him a lot longer to tie them. But he goes down there. He's got
But
his
he
little.
does it?
Yeah, he does it.
Yeah.
And then
Cool.
we have another friend. He recently passed away, I think a year ago. He and Mike used to help him. He has a place. He had a place near DeSales, and he was a pediatrician at one time.
Yep.
And he and his wife have a beautiful home, and they have a pond. And he would stock that pond with trout. And he did it with, was it Wounded Warriors or one of the
Veterans.
programs? Yeah. And Mike would help him a couple times at the pond with these people that maybe were amputees or whatever. And then when Mike had his stroke, he went over there and Bob let him fish there. So that was the first time he really fished. And they're both of them named Bob, actually, that were there. And he caught fish. And what we found out Bob had was this, the one that owns the home, he had this device, it was like a harness that went on his chest, almost like a backpack, but it had it looked like I call it a unicorn. It came out, and he could take his fly rod and slide it on this device, and then he could pull out the line, pull the fishing rod back.
Right. Make it easier to manipulate the rod and the reel.
Yeah.
And fly fish.
Yeah. And now I booked 6 trips for him. He has to fish in a boat.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That is great. Look at the big smile. I'm telling you.
Yeah, he's so happy. And then I have friends that come and will take him for me and split the cost and all that. But he's doing things we never thought he would be able to do again.
Well, you two have been on quite a journey.
Yeah.
And what does the future look like for you? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking we can do just about anything we want.
There
really.
you are.
We still go to Vermont. I even bought a brand new trailer up there. I got rid of the one I had because there wasn't room for my children. We used to have 2 trailers because Mike would go fishing with his buddies, and he had a pop-up. That's another story that kind of just collapsed one day. So he bought another camper that he could use with his buddies and bring to Vermont so our kids would have their own trailer, we would have ours. But after the stroke, there was no way I was going to tow a trailer up there. So
But it shows that you're thinking of the future.
Yes, exactly. And so we do a lot of things. We really do, and we're happy, and we have a lot of good friends and support.
That's great.
You know, so we're doing good.
Well, I have to tell you, you know what? You both inspire one another. But I got to tell you something.
Yeah.
You've inspired all of us listening to your story.
Oh, well, thank you.
And all the friends and all the family and the support that you've had. It's really just a beautiful example how people have come together to help this man that everybody loves.
Did you want to say anything, Mike? Like, I know you I think you had a question you'd asked me, like, what was one thing that he was happy with, you know, all the therapy that he can do now that he didn't think he...
Yes. What can you do now that you couldn't do because of the stroke?
I can fish on one,
And I can tie flies. Okay.
no,
Okay.
I can fish and tie flies.
You are the man. I'll tell you. Very good, Mike. Thanks so much. I'm so happy for you. I'm happy for you, and I'm not a fisherman.
We were telling you how many flies he has down, 35,000 tied flies.
Oh, my goodness. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
So glad it's all working out. I know you have your challenges, but you know what? You have each other, you have hope, and you have Good Shepherd there
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
to have your back. So thanks so much for being our guests. Like I said, you're an inspiration to all of us.
Oh, well, thank you.
We appreciate you being
It
here.
was nice to be here. Thank you.
Mike and Sue Recine from the Lehigh Valley. And that's our show. I want to thank you folks for tuning in. We appreciate your support. Check in with us next time for another episode of Boundless and more personal stories of perseverance, health, and wellness from Good Shepherd Rehabilitation.